Welcome back to another community kitchen. This week is gonna be a full meal. Small, but full meal. I wanted to go through the process of making the whole complete meal. This is gonna be simple and nutritious and varied, and it can actually impress your guests or your children, your family. So we're gonna have a rice that we're gonna add to it before we cook it. We're gonna add some vegetable to add some flavor. We're gonna have sweet potato fries, really simple, in the oven. I'm cooking also some green beans that we got from the garden here at St. Mary's. And the meat part, the protein part, is gonna be some chicken thighs with the bone in, the skin on. This was like 30% off, bake it, cook it tonight kind of deal. And the spice on our chicken is gonna be peri-peri. You can find that on the store. This is President's Choice spice mix, peri-peri, and it's kind of like a Portuguese, South African origin. Has like some hot peppers, some oregano, garlic powder, garlic salt, onion powder, bit of ginger, paprika, cayenne. So we're gonna make the mix today together, but if you don't have all those ingredients, you can also buy just the peri-peri mix. Sometimes it's good. We do chicken, but we always have the same flavor, so this is gonna be a change up for us. I wanted to share the peri-peri spice with you, and I'm gonna start right away with that. I'm gonna start, so the first ingredient is paprika. Right now I just have plain paprika. You can also use smoked paprika if you have some. So I want 1.5 teaspoons of paprika. I first encountered peri-peri at, I think, St. Hubert has a peri-peri chicken burger, really good. Then we have a teaspoon of oregano. Teaspoon of ginger, which is actually makes a difference in that, having the ginger kind of like lightens up the flavor. Then we have a teaspoon of cardamom ground. Cardamom comes often in little pods, and you can mash it if you have mortar and pestle, but they also come ground at Bulk Barn. You can have it just a little bit. This is only 1 teaspoon, which I don't have, so I'm skipping that. Going on with the garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of that. I find garlic powder and garlic powder, man. I find garlic powder and onion powder are 2 things you need to have in your kitchen. There are in so many different recipes, and they add a lot of flavors. Oregano is also a very standard one. So I have 1 teaspoon of both garlic and onion powder. I will add half a teaspoon of salt. So kind of eyeball that. And half a teaspoon of cayenne. If you don't want it to be so hot, you could cut that to 1/4. I'll cut it to 1/4. I don't know who's gonna eat this today, so. Other recipes, you can find other recipes of the mix of peri-peri. Some have way longer ingredients, but I think these are the basic ones. So I will have this mix. I'm mixing that. If like tomorrow, I'm gonna grate cardamom and add it to it, and then I'm gonna put it in a container, label it. It should be good for about 3 months, 6 months, depending. But in this recipe would be, probably today, would be using about half of this. And if you have more chicken you're preparing, you're gonna use it all. All right, the next step to prepare my meal is to figure out what takes longer to cook and what takes less time. So I'm looking at chicken, rice, sweet potato, and green bean. Green bean would be the thing that cooks the less, like probably 10 minutes once when my water is boiling. So I don't have to worry about that. The sweet potato fries are probably, I have my oven at 400, so, and I only have a few of them, so it's probably not gonna take much more than 25 minutes. Because if I would have a lot, they would be all more crammed on my cookie sheet, so that would take longer. But if there is less and I can spread them, they cook faster and they get crispier. That's why I like to have more space on my pan for the crispiness and not just the soggy sweet potato. So that would take about 25 minutes. The chicken, that would probably be close to half an hour. So definitely I want to start with that. My rice is going to be, once it's boiled, it's going to be 10 minutes, but to prepare my vegetable, I'm adding another 5 minutes. So I'm going to do chicken first, get that in the oven, prepare my sweet potato, get that in the oven, prepare the rice, get that started, and finish off with the beans. So the thing with the chicken, super easy. I have my pan. This is with the skin on, so that has a little bit of fat. And these are the thighs, so I am not worried about greasing my pan. There's a lot of fat in that, which is why I like the brown of the chicken. It has much more flavor than a chicken breast. If it's not your preference, just use the chicken breast. And so I've got my chicken there, and I just handle my chicken, so I've got to wash my hands. So I put my chicken directly in the pan. Sometimes people like to spice it on the cutting board and then put it in the pan. I find that I'm going to skip that part entirely and not have to clean the cutting board, because we know raw chicken on the cutting board is a contamination. You can have salmonella and other bacteria. So I'm just going to skip that, just put some of the spice directly in the pan. I'm just covering the thighs. You know, you can have more. And now I'm still gonna, I think I have enough. I'm gonna use my hands again, but I didn't want to contaminate my container with my hand, my chicken eat hands. So I'm just coating this. Super simple. That's it. If you have a good spice mixture, it's just that. It's the only thing you need, a good spice mixture. So this is coated, and that's gonna go straight in the oven right now. My chicken is in at 400, and I'm gonna put a timer for 30 minutes and then look at it. I always use my timer because I'm busy doing other things. If you have kids also, you can lose track of, oh yeah, I forgot I put that. When did I put that? Especially when you're cooking stuff that's time precise, like rice, and you're like, oh, when did I do that? Sweet potatoes, you can peel it. I leave the peel on. I really like the peel, especially when it starts to be crispy. And I'm gonna cut them in half, just so that it's easier to manipulate. Like here, I put it flat on the board. So I want some sticks, not too big. Smaller the sticks, the faster it's gonna cook, and I think the crispier it can get. So, I don't know. This is what I'm looking for right now. I have small, so it's about centimeter square, maybe a little less. I'm gonna put them in this bigger bowl, and I'm gonna add some olive oil and some salt. Just coating it. So I'm placing my sweet potatoes, trying to create space in between. So put that in, and I'll put the timer at 10 minutes. Keep an eye on it, maybe at 10 minutes I'm gonna flip them over. I did cut my sweet potatoes on that, but they were clean. So my board is not contaminated, but I just like quickly washed it, and I washed my knife too. Next, it's gonna be the rice. The rice, I wanna make it a little bit different than just plain rice. I want it to cook, before we add the rice to it, I'm gonna add like half an onion that I'm gonna cut small, little bits, a couple of celery and the carrot, also small chunks, and I'm just gonna cook that a little bit, sweat that in a little bit of oil before I add my rice, and that's gonna cook with the rice, so it's gonna add some flavor. So I've already washed all this. just gonna cut them pretty small pieces. And peel my carrot. One trick for peeling carrot, a lot of people I see, they go away from them a lot. I find that you don't really control the cut, and you feel like they do it a lot. So I just put it at the other end and I'm pulling towards myself, keeping the contact on the carrot constant, and just turning my carrot as I go. And that's it. It does take a little bit of practice, the controlling of the holding and moving. This carrot worked well because it was big. Oop, come back. This carrot works well because it's big, but when you have smaller one, it's kind of a little bit more difficult. Because I'm just gonna cook for this demo. I'm just gonna cook 1 cup of rice. If you had more than that, you should cook. That kind of looks neat, eh? Beautiful rose. I got my rice here. I got 1 cup. This is long white rice. It's not basmati. I find that this one is very starchy. It would get sticky when you cook it. If you like sticky rice, go ahead, just use it like that without rinsing. I want to rinse it so that when the rice is gonna separate a little bit more when you're gonna eat it. So my timer went on for 10 minutes for the sweet potatoes. Just keeping an eye on it. Gonna see what they look underneath. Yeah, they still have a ways to go. So my timer for the chicken is still at 13 minutes. So I'm gonna check both potato and chicken at that time. And I'm gonna work on the rice right now. So I've got oil heating up in my pot here, and I'm gonna add my veggies. So I want my veggies to become translucent, but I don't want them to brown. So I have my element right now at medium, so I think I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. Let that cook for about 5 minutes. I've used olive oil. Again, I use that most of the time anyway. A couple more minutes. So I've got 1 cup of rice I'm gonna add, so I will need to add 2 cups of water and a bit of salt. Sometimes what you can do also to improve the flavor of your rice, to make it more like a herby, spicy rice, you can add a cube of bouillon, a vegetable, or this is a vegetarian one. And I'm gonna add half of it because I'm just gonna be adding 2 cups of water, and I think 1 cube is for 3 cups of water in total, but I'm gonna add it now. So I'll just add a little bit of salt to that because this is already so salty. Now I'm gonna add my rice. I'm gonna stir it so it gets all coated with the oil. So I'm gonna add 2 cups of water. I'm bringing the temperature up to high. Put the lid on it. Once it's gonna boil, I'm gonna keep the pot on the stove. I'm gonna turn the element off. 10 minutes after that, it should be good. I'm gonna wait for this to boil before starting to boil my water for my green beans, just so that it's not gonna boil for no reason. Sometimes you have to have a strategy. I'm trying to figure out my timing here. Let's check on my sweet potatoes. So they need another 10 minutes or so. This is starting to boil. Yeah, just gotta give it a good stir. It's boiling. Turn it off. So we got a 10-minute timer before this is gonna be done. No. So far with the prep, I think I spent about half an hour on my meal, and there's still about 10 minutes to go. Hi. I'm just adding my green beans to my boiling water.
Smells so
And
yummy.
Hey?
Smells so yummy.
What cheese? Fresh green bean takes a little bit longer to cook than frozen one, because the frozen one already parboiled. This one is not at all, so it's about 7 to 10 minutes sometimes. So just pulled out the chicken. I'm gonna check the temperature. I think a food thermometer is something really useful to have, and it can take away doubts if you're not sure. Chicken, if you don't have a thermometer, cut it. If there's any blood or the juice still has a bit of blood in it, then it's not done. But this one, by looking at it, I'm pretty sure that it's very cooked. Like it shrink, if you have drumstick, like the meat shrinks away from the bone. And I'm looking at a temperature for 74 degrees Celsius, and right now I'm over 80, so that's good. It looks really good, smells really good in here. So I've used my thermometer. I have to make sure to wash it properly with soap and hot water. My sweet potatoes are looking good. They are perfectly roasted. So that ended up being 35 minutes, 25 minutes. And my rice is done, and so are my beans. This is my rice, nice and fluffy. Chicken, nice crispy. Green beans, fresh green beans taste nothing like canned or frozen one. If you grow it from your garden, they're just like out of this world. And then this is my fry, as you can see. Good texture. Here you go. Doesn't that look appetizing? Smells wonderful. It is wonderful. Simple and delicious. I hope you get a chance to try it. See you next time at Community Kitchen. Oh, it's so good. I'm gonna have a mukbang.